Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast, and I'm your host, once again, Will Reichling. NFL Preseason Week 1 in the books. A lot of rookie quarterbacks played, and a lot of rookie quarterbacks showed promise. Jaxson Dart, Cam Ward, specifically Shedeur Sanders. 138 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 107 passer rating. I know it's only preseason. I know the Panthers didn't play all their starters in this game, but he looks like he belongs in the NFL. He looks like he didn't deserve to be a 5th-round pick, that he deserved to be at least a 2nd-round pick. He has way better escapability than I thought. There was a 3rd down where he ran for the 1st down, knew exactly what to do with the ball in that play. And yeah, he backpedals a little bit, kind of rolled out left and right, but he showed that he could evade defenders in the NFL. And Myles Garrett said it's probably not going to work in a regular season game, but the fact that he has that ability, he's not his father, Deion Sanders, as an athlete. But he's a pretty good athlete. I think people underplayed his athleticism. He can move. And more importantly, he can make accurate throws on the run. And I think his most elite trait, and the trait that I think he's the best at out of every quarterback in this draft, is his accuracy. He has elite accuracy. And what I saw from this game that impressed me the most, he knows where to go with the ball at all times. He never looked scared. He never looked confused. He never looked like he didn't know what he was doing out there. And you heard all camp, Shedeur's not even close to ready. It's going to take him a long time to develop with this offense. Maybe they only gave him a couple simple plays for him to run. But with the plays they gave him to run, he looked like he knew what he was doing out there. He found the open guy, made the short throws, made the intermediate throws, made throws out of the pocket. The throw that he threw in his own end zone, yes, the corner slipped on the receiver and the receiver was wide open, but the defender was gunning right at him and he didn't flinch, didn't even look at him, just stood in there, made the accurate throw, and took the hit. That's what I'm looking to see from Shedeur Sanders. So he looks like he belongs, whether that's as a superstar in the NFL, a mid-tier starter, a long-time backup, I don't know, but he belongs in the league. This is not some Fugazi shit. He belongs in the league, and he graded himself as a C+ for that performance, which showed some humbleness, and maybe he's just trying to do that to downplay what he did in the offseason with meeting with Brian Daboll and kind of being too cocky and everything, but he's playing the part right now, saying he's grateful to be out there, grateful to be playing, and he just looked the part. And it's going to be interesting now to see, because you have Joe Flacco, who, yeah, the fans wanted to bring back because of that big year 2 seasons ago, so I understand that. He's going to get the start. He's going to be the starter going through the season, no doubt. Then you have Kenny Pickett, which, personally, before they even drafted Dillon Gabriel, before they even drafted Shedeur Sanders, when I saw the Browns traded for Kenny Pickett, I'm like, why did you trade for Kenny Pickett? What use is Kenny Pickett on this team? What use is Kenny Pickett in the NFL if it's not as a backup? Because Kenny Pickett was, remind you not, Kenny Pickett was traded for before the Browns even signed Joe Flacco. So the whole time I'm thinking Kenny Pickett's going to be their starter going to the season. They're tanking. Kenny Pickett should just get cut at this point. I'm not even counting Kenny Pickett in this situation. The backup job's going to come down between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Did any of you watch Dillon Gabriel in college? I'm sure a bunch of you did. If you watched Dillon Gabriel in college, personally, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, wow, this guy's going to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Never once did I think that. With Shedeur, I'm like, oh, this guy's spicy. This guy has talent. This guy could make it in the NFL. So the fact that Dillon Gabriel went in the 3rd round and Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round, it's insanity. It's insanity. It's almost ludicrous at that point. So it's a little weird. I think Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry wanted their guy. Maybe they didn't want Shedeur. Maybe they thought Dillon Gabriel fit the scheme better. But now, after training camp, and yeah, I know Dillon Gabriel got hurt and couldn't play in that game, but after training camp and after Shedeur Sanders playing preseason week 1, it had to have swayed a little bit. And with the coaching staff, the organization, the front office, the owner, the momentum has to have swayed a little bit to Shedeur Sanders. And it's going to be interesting for sure because they released a depth chart right after the game, and Shedeur Sanders still the 4th-string quarterback. Dillon Gabriel still the 3rd-string quarterback. I think at this point, and I like Kevin Stefanski as a head coach. He made the playoffs with 4 different quarterbacks a couple seasons ago. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think he's a good head coach. I think he's being a little stubborn here. They didn't want Shedeur. Dillon Gabriel was the guy. I don't care what Jimmy Haslam says. He's saying, oh, it wasn't up to me. It was up to the GM and head coach. Look at their faces when Shedeur was drafted. They look pissed. They look like, what the fuck just happened? They didn't want Shedeur. They wanted Dillon Gabriel. They didn't want Shedeur. Now Shedeur plays well. Dillon Gabriel gets hurt. Apparently, Dillon Gabriel sucks in training camp. So this is not looking good for Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. So I think they're trying to save face here. And what makes it even worse is Shedeur Sanders suffered an oblique injury. So Shedeur, out with an oblique injury, probably going to miss his next preseason game. And now Dylan Gabriel, I'm hearing if his hamstring all is well, he's going to play in that preseason game. And he's got to face the Eagles, who have a really deep roster. So even if the Eagles just play their backups, it's going to be tough for Dylan Gabriel. But let's say Dylan Gabriel plays well, not even as good as Shedeur, just okay. And then Shedeur's out. Now that gives Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry the excuse to be like, oh, see, Dylan Gabriel's the better quarterback to be the backup going into the season. It kind of gives them an out now that Shedeur got hurt. So it's very unfortunate. But the knock on Shedeur was, the attitude, the cockiness, and everything. And if you saw before the game, Shedeur Sanders was walking alongside somebody that was holding a boombox, blasting music. And everyone's like, oh, that's exactly why. See, that's why I didn't draft him. That's why I didn't draft him. He's too immature. He's too cocky. What quarterback does that before a game? Apparently, that was a teammate of Shedeur Sanders, so it wasn't even part of Shedeur's group and his clique. It was a teammate that he was friends with who decided to bring the boombox. Who gives a fuck regardless? Who cares? Who cares? If the guy's producing on the field, he could blast fucking reggae before the game for all I care. He could blast Taylor Swift. I don't give a shit. I think we're getting too much in the weeds of Shedeur Sanders being the perfect characteristic for a quarterback when it comes to personality. It's bullshit at this point. The guy played a great game, and we're talking about he's walking next to a teammate with a boombox in his hand. Who gives a shit? The guy's a decent guy and produces. I really don't give a shit. So I think we're getting too much in the weeds here. Maybe that's why Stefanski didn't like him. Maybe that's why Andrew Berry didn't like him. But I think this gives them an out to kind of be like, see, this is Dylan Gabriel's better. He's available. He played well. Shedeur's hurt. So we have to go with Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur. So I think there's a little bit of room for Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry to kind of fuck with Jimmy Haslam right now. And like I said, you saw the faces when they draft Shedeur Sanders, and it wasn't happy faces. It was not happy faces at all. This guy belongs in the NFL. He might not be a 15-year starter, a top 15 quarterback, might not even be a top 20 quarterback, but he belongs in the NFL. You saw that in that game. He looked comfortable. He made timely throws from the pocket. He knew where to go with the ball, and he wasn't afraid to stand in there, take hits, and make accurate throws down the field. And he's accurate on the run. And he has better escapability than I thought. So there's a lot of things that I saw with Shedeur Sanders in that game that I really liked. And I'm sure the Browns, Stefanski and Berry, have a lot of decision-making to do because now, at this point, you're like, okay, we didn't want this guy, and we drafted Dylan Gabriel, and now we didn't want this guy. I had to draft him because our owner made us draft him, and now he looked great. So now if Joe Flacco comes out there week 1, week 2, shits the bed, you're going to be hearing Shedeur Sanders on the sideline the entire fucking game. So this is a rough situation. This is going to be an interesting season for sure for the Browns. I mean, they're going to be one of the most talked about teams in the league just because of Shedeur Sanders. So we're treading into kind of the twilight zone when it comes to Cleveland Browns because 5 quarterbacks now. They signed Huntley because Dylan Gabriel and Pickett were hurt, so they just needed an arm for camp. So 5 quarterbacks. And apparently Deshaun Watson looks good, but he's not coming back. But you have a real fight for this backup quarterback spot between Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett just traded him. Cut him. I don't know why you even got that guy. But between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who ever thought Dylan Gabriel was going to be this franchise quarterback? Not me. I looked at Shedeur Sanders and said, this guy's going to be a decent first-round pick. So it never made sense to me. It never did. Maybe they thought Dylan Gabriel fit their scheme better. I really don't fucking know. But it's set up for not disaster, but if Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry make the wrong decision and they don't play Shedeur for too long and then Shedeur goes out there and shines, they might lose their job. I mean, it's at that point. But Shedeur Sanders, you have to be proud of yourself because you went out there, you proved the critics wrong, and then you stayed humble about it after the game. You stayed humble about it. I know there was the rumors, well, not the rumors, you saw the video of him with a reporter kind of saying, like, why you always talk negative about me? But then they started laughing, they dapped it up. I mean, that was all good. I don't think that's a big problem. I thought it was funny, actually. I laughed at it. So, great start to the Shedeur Sanders NFL career in the preseason, that is. And it's going to suck that he can't play the next game. So, Dylan Gabriel has a chance to kind of get back into this backup quarterback race here, especially if he plays well, because then that's going to give Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry a reason to make him the backup and tell everyone, oh, look, Shedeur's not available. Dylan Gabriel is. Dylan Gabriel played well. See, he fits our scheme better. So, it's going to be a little bit of politics here for the Browns for sure, just because of the fight between the owner versus GM and head coach. And Jimmy Haslam can say all he wants that he had no power over this. They wouldn't have drafted Dylan Gabriel if they wanted Shedeur Sanders. It would have never happened. They would have drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 3rd round. No one thought he was going to fall to the 5th round. So I call bullshit on that one. Let's go to another quarterback, not rookie this time, but 3rd year. who sometimes feels like a rookie because he just makes rookie mistakes in his third year. Anthony Richardson. He almost threw a pick where he held onto the ball for way too long. And the biggest thing for me out of this game was the last play that got him injured. He took a sack where he didn't even see the edge rusher coming off the edge. Did not see him at all, oblivious to it. At least, because you have your running back running out for a free route there, at least have your running back chip the edge rusher before he goes out for his route to give you more time. Or tell yourself, okay, no one's covering that edge rusher there. I either got to get the ball out in 2 seconds, or I got to evade that pressure because I know it's coming. Or you could adjust the protection at the line of scrimmage. Bring your receiver or tight end over to the other side. Just change something. He didn't see it coming. Didn't even look for it. Didn't even look that direction. Just stared the receiver in the left down the whole time and got decked, laid out. And you heard all the former players saying, this is day one stuff, man. This is day one stuff for a quarterback in the NFL. And he's in year 3, doesn't even know it yet. So let's be honest, this is over. This is over for Anthony Richardson. He could play this season. They could go 500, but he's not going to play well, and this is going to end well. We all know Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback eventually on this team. Not saying Daniel Jones did much better, because 48 completion percentage in the game. He made some nice throws, but if you're riding on Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones to be your quarterbacks going to the season, you're fucked. You're completely fucked. And Anthony Richardson is kind of a funny story because he was a boomer bust pick in the draft, and he, last season, made one of the best throws I've ever seen in the NFL in my life. That week 1 game against the Texans, where he kind of fell over a little bit. Then from the pocket, a very muddy pocket, made a dart throw down the field for like a 70-yard touchdown. That might have been one of the best throws I've ever seen in my life. So the talent's there. Obviously the talent's there. The size, the speed, the arm, the big arm. And he's a good kid. I've heard he's a great kid. But just some people... And this is not everyone's the same person. Not everyone's perfect. Some people just can't process quick enough at the NFL level. And in college, he wasn't accurate. In the NFL, he hasn't been accurate. In college, his last year of college, he had a 54% completion percentage. Last season, he had a 48% completion percentage. He's never been accurate. And I'm going to hear a lot of flack yes, Josh Allen had a low completion percentage in college. Josh Allen had a low completion percentage the first couple of years in the NFL. But not everyone's Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the outlier, not the standard. We need to stop comparing people to Josh Allen. That happens all the time with these big quarterbacks that aren't accurate with big arms. It's just but Josh Allen. But what about Ryan Leaf? What about quarterbacks like that had huge arms and couldn't do shit with it? What about Jamarcus Russell? It happens all the time. Zach Wilson. So it's not looking good for the Colts for sure. And I think Anthony Richardson, he's done. We all know he's not going to make it in this league. And with the way he plays, he's not even going to be a good backup because he's not accurate. He gets hurt all the time. It's not working out. It's looking rough. You think in a preseason game against some backups, not saying all the starters didn't play, but some backups just getting decked like that and then throwing an almost pick as he held onto the ball for too long. So Daniel Jones probably is going to play, and the Colts are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league because if you don't have a quarterback, you have 2 quarterbacks, you definitely don't have a quarterback, so they're screwed. They really are. A guy that I've been a little bit critical of is J.J. McCarthy, and he played well. He played well in his first preseason game of the year. Didn't try to do too much. Played within the offense. He ran for a first down on 3rd down, so his injury, he's recovered pretty well. And he made some nice throws to Jordan Addison. You see the chemistry building there already. And he looked comfortable throwing on the run to his left, to his right. He's got the talent too. This guy can play. He's got kind of a whip of an arm. He's a little quick with his feet. He just has to play within this offense. I said that last week. If he could be the 16th, 17th, 18th best quarterback in the league, the Vikings are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So I think he played well. I think you should be excited if you're a Viking fan because he showed you what you kind of were looking for out of him coming into the season. And I got to be honest, he impressed me a little bit. He did exactly what he did in Michigan. He took what the defense gave him. He took what the play call was given to him. He took what was in front of his face and didn't try to do too much. And I think that's why he might work on this team. The jury's still out on him, okay? I still have no idea where I'm going to get from this guy, but watching him play in that game gave me a little bit more confidence to say, okay, maybe he could be capable in this league. I'm still kind of out on him. I need to wait a little bit to see. But if you're a Vikings fan, you have to be happy with that performance. He looks like he could belong in this league. So, J.J. McCarthy, good job. Cam Warren. He's only 6'2", but when he was running away from the defensive line, He looked pretty big. I don't know if it was just because he sized up well with them, but he looked like when you sized him up with the defensive line that he was pretty big. Being 6'2", he was a big 6'2", and obviously he can move. He made some really nice throws. He made some good throws to Calvin Ridley. They're already building that chemistry, but he also made some bad throws. He almost threw a pick, almost threw another pick, but this team is going to be a little rough because, yes, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Pollard, but you have a bottom 5 wide receiver core in the league other than Calvin Ridley. So, the defense is going to be better. They were good last season. The offensive line's kind of a mess. So, what you're looking for if you're a Titans fan is you end up with another high draft pick, but Cam Ward shows tons of promise throughout the season. You want Cam Ward to show kind of what Kyler Murray did his first year in the Cardinals, Drake May last year. Flashes, promise, highlight films, people talking good about you, but your team sucks because they're not going to be a playoff team this year. I don't think so. And look, he didn't have that much to work with in that game too, but he played well. He didn't play great, but he showed why he was the number 1 pick. Big arm, felt comfortable in the pocket, can move, and I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's probably the one quarterback in this draft that I think is going to be a guaranteed at least top 20 guy in the league because he just you see the special jump out on the screen, the arm, the size, the movement, and he has to put it all together and they have to put a team around him. He's got an offensive head coach in Brian Callahan. Let's see where it goes, but not bad for his first start. Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart's a little interesting because people felt like he reached the Giants reached for him and moving up in the first round to get him. And yeah, he's got a big arm. You saw it in action, that touchdown throw, but he definitely has more arm talent than Daniel Jones ever had. Daniel Jones was faster. He's not as fast as Daniel Jones, but he can move too. You saw it. He ran a couple times and looked impressive. So he's got a big arm, can move. He's big. And with Brian Dable's offense, I feel like it could work. They got to get him a lot of starts this season. Don't let Russell Wilson play for too long if you're just an under 500 team. You got to get Jaxson Dart in there. It's a strong quarterback class next season. You got to see what you have with this guy. You have to see what you have, but he was impressive. I was a little more impressed than I thought it was going to be from this guy. I thought he was raw. I thought he needed to be polished more. But remember, he had 40-plus starts in college, so I should have known. He's very polished. He actually might be ready to start now. He might be one of the more NFL-ready guys in this draft class. So I was very impressed with Jaxson Dart. Hey, maybe the Giants found their guy, especially with an offensive coach in Brian Dable. I'm pretty optimistic about this. One last thing I want to hit on, Matt Stafford. I had the Rams as the 6th seed in my power rankings, but I had to drop them to the 8th seed because I was very worried about Matt Stafford with his aggravated disc in his back. I heard he was coming back to practice this week. I got a lot of comments in my TikTok saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. Stafford's fine. He's coming back this week to practice. He's just fine. They're just being smart. I'm like, okay, maybe I am over-exaggerating. But remember, a back injury, let alone an aggravated disc in your back, is a lingering injury. It doesn't just heal overnight. It doesn't just magically become better and you're just all better and you wake up. It could last the entire season for Stafford. Then I come to find out this week, it's Wednesday when I'm filming this. He hasn't practiced all week. He was supposed to come back Monday. He missed Monday, missed Tuesday, missed Wednesday. You heard McVay say he's just being precautious. Bullshit. This is a big issue for the Rams. This is a huge issue. Those type of injuries don't go away overnight. This could be bothering him the entire season. He might wake up for a Sunday game and he can't get out of bed because his back hurts. So people that told me in the comments that I don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what you're talking about because any back injury for a 37-year-old guy with a lot of wear and tear on his body, an old 37, to have this kind of injury and to see him not practicing yet, and we're in August. It's week 1 of the preseason. Has not practiced at all. This is a big problem for the Rams, and I would be extremely worried if I'm Sean McVay. Extremely worried if I'm Matt Stafford, because if you don't have Matt Stafford on this team to play this season, kiss your Super Bowl hopes goodbye. You think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to bring you guys to a Super Bowl? I know he did in the Niners, but this is not the same Jimmy Garoppolo we're talking about. I think the jury's out on Jimmy Garoppolo being a good quarterback. So if you're a Rams fan, you can't be in denial about this. You can't be sitting there saying, oh, it's fine, they're just being precautious. You have to be worried. Sometimes fans need to get their head out of their ass because a back injury, an aggravated disc for a guy that hasn't necessarily been healthy the last couple of seasons. Yes, he's played 15 games, 14 games, and all that, but he has a lot of wear and tear on his body. We all know that. And now there's an aggravated disc in his back. Okay, fine. As long as he plays through it. Can't even get on the fucking practice field, man. Cannot even get on the practice field. So, if I'm a Rams fan, I'm freaking out right now. I'm freaking out. I'm not even a Rams fan. So, their season might be in the tank here. If this guy cannot play. Now, right now, obviously, no one's saying that he can't play. But this could linger. You know, he could have 3 good weeks. Week 1, 2, and 3. Week 4, he wakes up for his Sunday game, and his back's killing him, and he can't get out of the couch, off the bed. So, people are human. You know, we think of people like the robots, like, oh, he'll be fine. He'll just bounce back. He'll get a cortisone shot. He'll enter the meditation center. He might be fucked here. He might be fucked. So if you're a Rams fan, watch out because Seattle, I said they're coming for the division. So we'll see what happens there.